Hello, and welcome to the day.
Thank you for spending your time with us.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joel. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. We are continuing that Pioneer series with Shadows Over Innistrad. That is the next one up. Let's go ahead and jump into the cards, and as we do, if we could ask, if you wouldn't mind hitting like, hitting subscribe on the video before the end of it, if you like it, really helps us out.
Best way to support the channel as we continue to grow.
Only do it, though, if you're logged in. If you're not logged in, just sit back and enjoy. But if you're logged in, click some buttons. Just click a button.
That's it. Just click a button. It doesn't have to be a lot.
We're going to start off Shadows of Innistrad with the real estate. Because we have talked about this in pretty much every video, any of the real estate that's available in the sets, because of fetch lands not being legal, is probably going to be played.
Yeah, people are going to be seeking out these different lands. It is notable these came out, they were hyped, and then they were pretty much overlooked. They weren't really played very much. They haven't really found their footing anywhere. But it's a card where if you have a basic, it's coming in untapped. There's no shock land effect that's going to hit you in the face. So
it's essentially... The thing about it is it's a really good land to have in your opening hand alongside a basic, but if you have 4 lands on the battlefield because you started with 3 and you've naturally drawn your 4th, and you're looking for that 5th one, this is a shit card to draw off the top of your library when you need that 5th land.
That's true. If you're trying to curve in and do something on curve and you draw this and this is the land you top deck, I think that's probably the reason that these may have been overlooked.
Right.
So, you know, it is notable, though. We don't have the fetch lands, Joel already said, so these could be an alternative, and they're all very cheap.
They absolutely could. Moving on to more real estate, West Vale Abbey. Jake, you like this card.
Yeah, I like the card. It flips into the big 9/7 transform guy. We actually, right. I don't think we have the art for that guy, but this is a card that has been played and tinkered with, and it's even been tinkered with a little bit in Modern. It's very cheap right now. And it offers a really nice big win con. If you could sacrifice the 5 creatures to transform it, and in certain shells, you know, getting up to 5 creatures is pretty reasonable.
Absolutely, and you always see lands that can make 1/1 creatures. If the cost is even fairly reasonable, played in formats. After that is one of my personal favorites from this set, Thalia's Lieutenant. You want to see an anthem for humans when it enters the board. You want to see humans entering the board and making this creature bigger. I mean, this is like one of the premier 2-drops if a human's deck breaks out.
Yeah, and it's a card that's been played in Modern Humans,
right.
So it's a really good addition because it's a nice low-cost bear. It's very relevant. There's a lot going on. I would be very surprised if it doesn't make it into some sort of aggro deck.
Yeah, me too. Moving on from that is Rattlechains. Speaking more about tribes, Rattlechains is a spirit that is a premier 2-drop in a spirit deck.
Yeah, it's super good. It's got flash, which people love. It's got flying, so good evasion. There is a Modern spirits deck, so
right.
You are going to see some spirit cards in this series. In this specific episode.
Spellqueller's already been jumping up. It's already a really expensive card.
Yeah, exactly. And so, a lot of the hive mind of Magic the Gathering right now is looking to other formats to kind of have like, okay, so I can play an abbreviated version of this deck in Pioneer. And so stuff like humans, stuff like spirits, right. Goblins, all of this kind of stuff, people are trying to figure out, how do I make it work in Pioneer?
Yeah, absolutely. Always Watching is one that is another great anthem for a white weenie go wide strategy.
Yep, and having that vigilance is why this card is here. It's just, it was played in Standard. It's a very cheap card right now. I think it's like less than $1.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good. It's a nice sticky enchantment, man.
I love the possibility of Venerated Loxodon growing 3 of your creatures on turn 3, and then on turn 4 smashing this onto the battlefield, and then all your grown creatures and Loxodon get to swing with an extra +1/+1 and vigilance. That sounds like a pretty good turn 4 to me.
Yeah, it sounds really good. It sounds very oppressive.
Moving to Eerie Interlude, which is going to get you around one of the big weaknesses of a creature go-wide strategy, which is board wipe.
Dude, this card is excellent.
Yeah.
Any kind of ETB, it abuses nicely. It is a great card. It holds a super low price point. I really think that this is a spicy pick. I know that you picked this one, and yeah. I do think it's good.
Well, one of my favorite decks early in 2019 was the mono white with Adanto Vanguard, Venerated Loxodon, Unbreakable Formation. And this is a card that takes the effect that Adanto Vanguard presented, and the reason that it was in the deck is because it could gain Indestructible and get around board wipes and leave some threat on the board. This serves that, it serves that need in this deck, and so I definitely think it's an option that'll be worth brewing around alongside cards like Unbreakable Formation.
Yeah, this card absolutely. I think it's like a sideboard card, but I think that it absolutely poops on any kind of on-curve board wipe. If you're planning for it, this is just, they're going to go to wipe the board. You're going to be like, all right, in response, Eerie Interlude, and then they know that they're tapped out during your next turn where you're just going to smash in.
I agree that it's a sideboard card because of the existence of one Planeswalker, and that's Teferi, 3-mana Teferi. Preventing instant speed interaction. At the very least, with 3-mana Teferi, you can still play Unbreakable Formation on your main phase, and you still get a lot of value out of it. But Eerie Interlude, yeah, you're exactly right. It kind of loses all potency with that one Planeswalker. Here is a premium removal, and what do we always say? Premium removal makes the list.
Yeah, premium removal is good. We kind of made a mistake in an earlier video calling what is that? One black, one white, two other that we called the Vindicate of Pioneer.
With Anguished Unmaking legal in the format.
Clearly Anguished Unmaking is the Vindicate of the format.
Right.
And it is strictly better than, oh my god, I don't know why I can't find the name of that card in my mind right now.
Doesn't matter. The thing is that this card is excellent. It exiles a non-land permanent, so it hits literally anything. You are going to have a little bit of a drawback of loss of 3 life because it's instant speed, but you know what? Who cares? If we're removing their thing at the end of turn and you get to come back and do what you need to do on your turn, then it's going to be completely fine.
It's black and white, so those colors are not they don't exclude life gain effects. So, exactly. Negating that 3 loss of life is not a big deal.
No, not at all. Moving on to Fevered Visions, a card that I actually played when this was in Standard because I had a Turbo Fog deck around Kaladesh block, and Fevered Visions was my Howling Mine effect in that deck.
I love this card, and right now it's like 49 cents. I think that this is the kind of card that you brew around because it's a sticky win con. It is what you do. It's the engine of the deck, and I love it. And I know they used to play Turbo Fog with it, and I think it's a great card. And I think if there were any kind of sleeper, I really do when I'm evaluating cards that are sleepers, I really do look at enchantments first, because enchantments are the kind of thing that have that long-term EDH playability. Most of the big EDH cards are like lands and enchantments, and those are the kind of cards that really soar in value long-term.
Yeah.
And I think as we get further and further into this Pioneer format, people are going to start to brew with these very reasonably priced low-cost enchantments.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the kind of card, I don't know if it necessarily needs it. Arclight Phoenix decks, I don't know if it necessarily needs this because it wants most of its abilities like this on instants and sorceries. But it's a card that keeps a burn player's hand completely filled up for the entirety of the game.
Before we start talking about Prized Amalgam, I do just want to add on to Fevered Visions.
Yeah.
We have a really fun card that came out, and we were talking about it playing alongside the Ruin Diver, but Iron Crag Pyromancer. Again, this is another card that plays so well with Pyromancer to ensure that you're getting that 3 damage every single turn, in addition to the 2 damage on Fevered Visions.
You're absolutely right. The next pick you've already seen, Prized Amalgam. This is because zombie deck. I really think that a zombie deck has the potential to break out. A zombie deck 1 Pro Tour Amonkhet, and all of the cards that were legal in that deck, plus way more powerful zombies, are now legal in Pioneer.
So the thing that I first think about when I see Prized Amalgam is Modern Dredge. And it's a card that plays so well in that deck, and although we don't have the same potency as Modern Dredge and Pioneer, Prized Amalgam plays really well alongside Stitcher Supplier in any kind of effects that bring creatures out of the graveyard. So if Self-Mill were to become strategy, I could see Prized Amalgam really doing things in that kind of deck.
Yeah.
And this is another card that, again, modern playable card, although it is a very specific kind of deck, these are the kind of decks that people are going to look toward, like Prized Amalgam and Cathartic Reunion and those kind of effects that are going to fill up the graveyard. And you can pitch this. You could even play this in a deck that's like, red-black. You don't even need the blue.
Yep.
So it's things to think about.
That's absolutely true. It'd kind of be funny to have Prized Amalgams in a Phoenix deck, like we were just talking about. That would be a very weird one to see. That brings us back around to the lands and to the end of our Shadows Over Innistrad Pioneer Sleepers video.
I hope that you've enjoyed the video. If you have today, please consider liking and subscribing and all of those things that the people say. Go
Absolutely.
Do the good work.
Absolutely. If you want to support us further, we've got a Patreon. It's the link is down in the description below. We are streaming twice a week, most weeks over on Twitch, Tuesday and Thursday nights. I don't have anything else, Jake. I'm tapped out.
What do I have here? I have a copy of Crackling Doom.
Oh, there you go. There's some Crackling Doom for you later.